Welcome to the Marketing Mind podcast presented by Interface, the official marketing committee of KJ Somaya Institute of Management. Today we are here with Ms. Radhika Joshi. She is the current consumer marketing insight lead at L'Oreal, and she has had 14 years of experience with at prestigious organizations like Nielsen and Cantor Millward Brown. Today we look forward to having a wonderful discussion about CMI, marketing, and also advertising. So, ma'am, how are you today? You're an alumni of this college?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the one word which pops up in my head right now, I'm very, very excited and nostalgic because it's been like 15 years since I passed out, and to be on the other side and actually sharing my views and my experience really means a lot. So thanks for having me here.
It means us a lot as well that you're here to share these wonderful insights with us. So, the first question I have for you is when you look back at your career today, what were the early experiences or influences that pulled you toward marketing even before you formally entered the field?
Okay. So I think the one word which comes to my mind is curiosity.
Okay.
I was always very curious about each thing.
Right.
And that curiosity actually fueled also things about why consumers behave certain way. Why are they making certain choices? Why does one product fail versus one product go, very successful?
Right.
And this coupled with my over analytical brain, I would say, I lean towards market research and insighting as a profession, and that's how I got pulled towards it.
Okay.
And I think curiosity at the core just keeps a drive on because that's the heart of what I do actually at L'Oreal as
Okay. So basically, curiosity is the main
well.
thing behind this. Okay. Your first role often teaches you lessons no classroom can. This is the saying. What did your early days in the industry teach you that still guides you and like your approach to them?
Okay. So I think one very important thing was to keep asking this question. So this goes back to actually curiosity, like I said.
Right.
It's very important to keep asking questions to not only know better,
Okay.
because as an insights professional, we are supposed to aid the business and answer business questions, right? But it's very important to challenge back and answer questions, ask questions back.
Right.
So very early, I realized that it shouldn't be that as a professional, you should take whatever the business is telling you at face value, but challenge them, ask questions, and that is how actually you can create a structured problem statement and really guide the business later on at the end of it. Yeah.
Right. Hmm. Okay. So many people think that consumer insight is just data analysis. In real life, what does a strong business changing insight actually look like? And how is it translated into something actionable and measurable?
Okay. So yeah, you're right. Actually, people do think about consumer insights as just data analysis, but
Right.
that is, I think, just the starting point. I would say there's a whole lot of storytelling you need to do. You have to clear out the noise away from the insights. Really, then the insight will always be latched on to a human truth. And many a times that human truth will either challenge the course of the business, or it will, further channelize it into the right direction.
Hmm.
And that aspect is very important. So, what is the human truth at the heart of it? And how can you shape the course of the business? That's very important, when it comes to aiding the business decision making. So yeah, as a seasoned insights professional, I would say, you know, decluttering the noise, going at the heart of that human truth, and helping the business see that in the context of brand is very important. At the same time, there might be many insights, but you also need to understand which aligns with the brand strategy and which is really practical and actionable.
Right.
So all of those coupled together, it's a collaborative approach which finally will lead to some actions at the outset.
Yeah, I think the main aspect of this whole thing is to actually take action that makes sense after the
Yes.
insights because like people can get as much data as they want, as
Yeah.
many insights as they want,
Yes.
but as long as they don't know what to do with it,
Yeah.
it's not going to work. Um, how do brands use consumer insights and market research in advertising and marketing, especially like specifically?
So there are different levels at which brands use market insights.
Right.
Going from creative testing, so you test copies, you test advertisements before they even go on air. This can be really upstream where it's not even shot. So even before that, you test storyboards, you decide which script to follow, whether you use celebrities or not. If you're using celebrities, then which celebrity? If you're using any tribe, then which tribe? So at different levels. And it comes also to the point where you have short or creative. So you test that through the consumer insight frames, whichever you have. You understand which parts are working. Are there any emotional elements which you can dial up, dial down? Or is there a tension point you can create, or some point in the creative which can have a payoff at the end? What kind of narrative works for your brand? So all of those things. So there's actually a lot of avenues where inciting and research work can really sharpen the creative and advertisements before they go in field.
Right.
And once they are on air, the work doesn't stop there. So we also continually evaluate the creatives which are on air to see whether they have achieved the results which they were supposed to achieve.
Okay.
And if not, then where was the problem? So it's a continual process which will feed back and go in an iteration kind of thing.
Okay. So talking about celebrities, one of L'Oreal's brand ambassadors was Aishwarya Rai, I think.
Yes, for
Right.
one of the brands.
Yeah. So what made her the perfect fit? Like, how do you think that this celebrity would be good for this brand and this would be for that brand?
Yeah. So actually, it was also a global call. While obviously she's the Indian
Right.
celebrity, she's a global icon, right? We all know that. I think at the heart of it, it was the concept of I am worth it. And at that time,
Like,
when she was at her peak, she personified the statement and tagline of I am worth it.
okay.
And that really had a very, very strong fit with the brand L'Oreal Paris. And that's how, she was a natural fit for the brand. And she also actually cued a lot of sophistication, aspiration value, glamour quotient, all of that, which the brand stands for even now.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite imprinted in consumers' minds even now. There's a beauty of it when you have a natural fit between a celebrity and a brand.
Yeah. It goes like when I look at it, it just looks like a natural fit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how is beauty consumer behavior different from other FMCG categories like home care or baby care?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So, the way we see beauty and when we talk to consumers, so we talk to a lot of consumers being an insights professional also. When we ask them what is it about beauty that is so special to you, or why do you actually consider beauty or being beautiful important, then it comes out that uh, grooming themselves or taking care of themselves actually enhances their confidence and even self-worth. So it's a marker of being happy with who you are.
Right.
Where I'm coming to is therefore beauty. When it comes to beauty, consumers are very deeply involved with their emotions as well. So it's not just a functional choice.
Right.
It will be a choice about what suits me, how does it make me feel. Sometimes it's also about pampering yourself, and it's not just about getting some head massage done, but it's about the entire self care routine and the pampering experience which it brings with it. So beauty consumers, I would say, from other categories, especially household categories, they are very involved in the choices, deeply emotional about it, and it's about what it's giving me, what's a need state it's satisfying at my end, rather than what product I'm buying. So that's how beauty consumers are different.
Okay. Like for me as well, I think if I have a bad hair day, then the entire day is just bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. You've worked extensively on innovation forecasting. What usually determines whether a new product launch succeeds or fails?
So I think at the outset, clarity is very important.
Okay.
You can't just have a product which goes on the principles of one size fits all, especially in today's world where there are so many choices and consumers have so many options to choose from. You have to be very clear who is the TG you're talking to, what is the proposition you are, bringing to the table. Not just that, what's the personality your brand is going to stand for. So that clarity of thought is very important. The second is the conviction and the support which will be given to you by the business, the brand, the
Right.
marketers. That's very important. And third thing I think is a course correction. So you cannot just be happy about it that I have a very flashy, flamboyant proposition, very unique, and I have launched with all the support. So there's no chance that it will not fail.
Okay.
It may fail if you don't course correct. So you need to keep picking on the early signs and signals and warnings, so that if there is a need for course correction, you do that and you keep going. So I think, yeah, roughly these three things should differentiate a successful long-term
Okay.
launch.
So it's very important to be humble about whatever
Yes.
you're going to
Yes, and keep learning.
keep learning. Okay. Um, Beyond likes, views, and buzz, how do you evaluate whether an ad is actually working?
Okay. Um, like I said, there are two parts to it. There's a very structured way of testing creatives which have gone on air.
Yeah.
There are parameters in terms of whether it was able to reach the right audience, whether it was was there any fatigue with respect to the viewing or the reception, the way the ad was received. So there are very hardcore frameworks and parameters on which we can judge. And also there are frameworks which are AI led, where which continuously will spot signals and listen to data, listen to consumers.
Okay.
Because these ads and creatives will impact the sentiments, the conversations that consumers are having around the brand.
Hmm.
So these are the signals which can be picked up and cue you whether that ad has been effective in the right direction on the right plane or not.
Okay. How different is the Indian consumer compared to the Southeast Asia or Western markets?
Okay. Again, an interesting question, and we'll get that a lot. So I would say Indian consumer is actually a lot about this and that is
Mm.
the way I see it.
Okay.
So it's like we are very much aspiration driven, but we are also value conscious. So which is why luxury brands also come up with trial kits and sample sizes to try on, because we will look for value efficiency even in luxury products. So that is one way of looking at it. So we want individualized and personalized experiences, especially the younger audience now thinks that they think of themselves as very individualistic, and they do want very curated choices, curated products. But at the same time, there's a lot of influence of the culture and the core ethos with which we have grown up.
Okay.
So the way you talk to an Indian, young Indian, audience will still be an amalgamation of somewhere individualistic and deeply proud of that, but still Indian at heart.
Okay.
So I would say it's more like I'm unapologetically Indian type.
Yeah.
So it's more of this and that, I would say, it's which makes it a very beautiful mix when it comes to the Indian consumer.
All right. What skills should students develop if they want a career in consumer insights or research analysis and analysts?
Okay. So here I would again go back to the first two questions which we were discussing.
Right.
I think curiosity and
Curiosity.
asking questions, and more importantly, keeping uh, like challenging the business. I mean, not for the sake of it, obviously,
Right.
but whenever you're getting a question at hand or a problem at hand, you deeply think about it, ask questions so that you are armed with all the information you need, as well as you challenge the business when you have a particular insight and have conviction in it.
Okay.
So these two things are very important. Obviously, you learn all the techniques, the frameworks and everything. You will deploy your analytical mind, all of that.
Right.
But complacency shouldn't hamper the right decision making.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting to.
Okay. So this talking about the new generation and AI, there's this question related to that. How do you see AI and automation changing the role of consumer research?
Okay, so I would say AI is more, I see AI more like a partner to
Okay.
research and not a replacement or a substitute.
Right.
There is, some sentiment that will replace consumer research. I don't see that happening. Uh, if I have to put it down in a few words, then I think AI can definitely narrow down the choices or the solutions. It give you answers, but it cannot take the decisions or choose for you.
Hmm.
So we should look at AI to empower us to, actually take the right decisions, because we have to keep applying the human element and the human empathy aspect to that. So AI could predict that maybe, through the whatever research body of work you feed it into, whatever patterns and signals it's learned from, that a particular product might fail.
Right.
But what is the deeper insight of why is that going to happen? You need to go out there and talk to consumers, observe them. So, which is why I feel AI will be more like a partner to us, which will empower us to take better decisions rather than completely substitute. And obviously, the speed of it, the scale of it at that level is the differentiator and advantage with respect to AI.
So maybe AI can like be very useful when we're doing the data analysis, but when it comes to taking out insights and all these things, then we should rely on our own personal.
Yeah, so you cannot. It's more like AI will give you the answers, but you need to apply that layer of human empathy and consumer judgment before you take to the business and guide them.
Right.
Or it could also mean that AI will throw up maybe a certain framework to you, and you need to actually do a holistic research, which is in depth, need consumers to actually peel out the real answers, get to the real answers. So yeah, it's more case to case, but it can never 100% replace the entire body of research, is what I see.
All right. So now, before we get to the last question, we have a rapid fire round.
Sure.
So, are you ready? You can answer in like a few words or a sentence or a phrase, and you can even choose to elaborate on anything at any point. But it needs to be quick. You have to be on your
Yeah,
feet.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, first question: one mentor who changed your career.
I would say at the start, he was my manager when I was in Nielsen.
Okay.
Yeah, and he just elaborating in one line, because he was the one who actually made us like really realize the importance of. He was like, go out and meet your friends,
Okay.
go out and meet consumers. So it was like a personal professional balance. Don't just be at work and slog and glamorize the 14-16 hour work life.
Right.
Just go out and have a balance of both. So I think he was the one who really sparked this curiosity, and was really good at maintaining all the balance. So yeah, definitely him.
Okay. Most underrated marketing campaign in India.
Okay, very interesting. This actually, I would say I'm really hooked to the paperboat campaigns which come on Instagram.
Okay.
I don't think they are as popular and flashy as the other ones,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but they ride on the nostalgia led
Hmm.
content, which really resonates.
I think as a brand, it also like
Yes.
uses nostalgia a lot. One skill every marketer must build.
Um, I think just stick to the consumer truth,
Okay.
focus on the consumer. Everything else is means to the end.
All right.
It's all about the consumers. Yes.
One brand that is exceptional in translating consumer insights to product innovation, except for L'Oreal, I think.
Uh, I would say a lot of the upcoming indie and D2C brands,
Mm,
because we study them a lot.
okay.
They function on the philosophy of launch fast, fail fast.
Hmm.
So they will keep listening to consumers, uncover these human needs, which unmet needs and everything.
Right.
Keep launching products, weed out the ones which do not function well, and try to sharpen the proposition, and then yeah, keep launching and be successful at it. So I won't name only one.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those.
So basically, that category of.
Yes,
Okay.
a lot of them.
Best career advice you've received.
Uh, I would say again, going back to keeping asking questions, but also speak up.
Hmm.
Speak up not only for yourself, but speak up with respect to your POV, irrespective of the audience which is there. Your POV, you will always bring something unique to the table. So you should always keep tabling your opinion, standing up for your work, the conviction you have, with the conviction you have in it, and standing up for yourself. I
Okay.
think that's the advice, and was by the same mentor.
Oh, okay. One book every marketer should read.
Okay. There are couple, but I think the one which stands out in my mind is I think Competing Against Luck by someone called Clayton
Oh,
Stinson.
okay.
So the book is actually about it's again about that consumers do not buy products for the features or the functionality that it offers. They are actually trying to solve some need, or they are trying to there's some job or some progress which they want to make in their lives,
Right.
and that product actually fulfills that need.
Hmm.
So let's say if I'm going to a salon, I'm not just going there to just, maybe I have problems of hair fall or whatever, those are there, but I'm also going for the experience, to make myself feel special, pampered, and all of that.
Right.
So that book actually, the core thought is, that it's not just about functionality, but about the need or the experience that the product is offering.
So that was the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Now we come to the last question for the day.
Sure.
What advice or perspective would you like to leave B school students at KJ Somaya with?
Okay. Very interesting. And I just feel really old giving that advice. Uh, I would say keep learning but unlearning also. I may sound very cliched, because we see that, like, the world, not just the insights world, the marketing world, the brands and the entire context is changing so fast.
Right.
That by the time you learn something, there is something new on the block, right? So by the time we were with ChatGPT, something else had already come up.
Okay.
So it's just very important to keep learning and unlearning and relearning and keep challenging your beliefs. And yeah, just be at it. And whatever profession you are, so like I am an insights professional out and out. So for me, it's very important to not lose sight of the consumers and the consumer truth at the heart of it, and maybe use AI or look at AI more as a means to the end. So not lose sight of what is at the heart of it, and then just all around it, just keep learning and relearning and unlearning. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe that's that
I
I
think
would give.
the best advices do sound a bit cliched, but that's what I think. And thank you so much for the podcast today.
My
Um,
pleasure.
yes, thank you. We'll see you in the next episode. This was the Marketing Mind podcast.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.